Have you ever wondered why so many of the healthiest people you know, the ones who seem to have more energy than folks half their age, never talk about expensive supplements? No fancy bottles, no miracle powders shipped from overseas, just something sitting quietly in their kitchen cabinet the whole chimney. Today, I want to tell you about a habit so small, so old-fashioned, that most people walk right past each every single morning without a second thought. Each takes less than 30 seconds. Each costs almost nothing. And yet, by the 7th day, many people who try each say they notice something they didn't expect. I'm not going to tell you everything right now. They will to be fair to you, because the story unfolds best one day at a chimney, just like it would in real life. But I will tell you this much, it involves chewing the whole cloves. Yes, the spice sitting in your pantry right now. First thing in the morning. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why something so simple has quietly stayed part of daily routines for generations, long before pills and powders took over the conversation about health. Before we go further, if you are someone who appreciates simple, honest wellness habits explained without hype, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I share this kind of grounded, real talk health content regularly, and they love to have you along for the journey. Now, let us start from the very beginning. Because to understand why this morning habit matters, we first need to talk about something most of us were never taught in school. We live in a world that loves complexity. Walk into any pharmacy and you will see shelves lined with bottles promising sharper memory, better digestion, deeper sleep, more energy. Some of them cost $30, $40, even $60 a month. And look, some of those products may genuinely help certain people. I'm not ready to dismiss modern supplements entirely. But it is the question worth sitting with for a moment. Why do so many cultures around the world, going back centuries, in places without any of that marketing, is to reach for the exact same handful of kitchen spices every single day? Cloves are one of those spices. They've been used in cooking, in traditional remedies, in daily rituals across many parts of the world for a very long time. Modern researchers have taken an interest in them too, studying the natural compounds they contain. Things like eugenol, which has been examined for its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties in laboratory in preliminary studies. Now, I want to be very clear about something right from the start. I am not telling you that chewing cloves will cure anything. I'm not telling you each replaces medication, replaces your doctor, or guarantees any specific result. Everybody's body is different. What one person notices, another person might not notice at all. What I am telling you is this. There is a quiet, chimney-tested habit involving chewing 2 whole cloves each morning, the experience people describe, day by day, is worth understanding. Not because each is magic, because each is interesting, and because sometimes the smallest habits are the ones we overlook the longest. So what actually happens when you chew a clove instead of just swallowing each like a pill? The difference matters more than you might think. Each is exactly where we headed next. ADS is something most people never stop to consider. Digestion doesn't begin in your stomach. It begins the moment something touches your tongue. Think about it this way. When you smell something delicious cooking, your mouth starts watering before you've taken a single bite. That is not a coincidence. That is your body preparing itself, releasing saliva, getting ready to break down whatever is coming. Saliva isn't just water. It contains enzymes that start breaking down food immediately. It helps neutralize acids in your mouth. It plays a role in oral health that many of us underestimate. Especially as we get a little older, oral health becomes something we have to pay more attention to than we did in our 30s or 40s. Now it is where chewing comes in, and why it matters so much more than simply swallowing something whole. When you swallow a capsule or a pill, your body has to work through layers. The casing, the stomach, the intestines, before anything is released. But when you chew something raw, like a clove, you're releasing its natural compounds right there in your mouth, mixing them with saliva, allowing your body to start interacting with them immediately. This is part of why traditional cultures so often favor chewing raw herbs and spices rather than swallowing them whole. It wasn't about ritual for ritual's sake. It was about giving the body a head start. There is another piece of this that people don't talk about enough. The simple act of chewing itself. Chewing slowly and deliberately, first thing in the morning. does something quietly powerful. It wakes up your senses. It signals to your nervous system that the day has begun. Many people describe each as a small moment of mindfulness before the hush of the morning takes over. So when someone chews the cloves first thing in the morning, they are not just consuming a spice. They are engaging their saliva, their oral tissue, their early digestive signals, all before that first cup of coffee even reaches the cup. But it is the question I know you are asking right now. What does that first morning actually feel like? Is it pleasant? Is it strange? Let us talk about exactly that. Let us be honest with each other for a moment, because I think honesty matters more than hype. The first time most people chew a whole clove, their face changes immediately. It is intense. Cloves have a strong, warm, slightly spicy flavor, almost like a more concentrated version of the smell you get from holiday baking. Some people describe a gentle numbing sensation on the tongue. Others say it reminds them of old-fashioned dental products. Since clove oil has historically been used in some oral care applications, that reaction is completely normal. In fact, if you don't feel anything at all the first time, that is worth paying attention to. We talk about while later on. Within the first minute or two, most people notice their mouth producing more saliva than usual. That is the body responding to the intensity of the flavor, just like we talked about in the last chapter. Some people also report that their breath feels noticeably fresher afterward, which makes sense, since cloves have long been associated with oral freshness in traditional use. There is something else many people mention, something a little harder to describe, a sense of alertness. Not a jolt like caffeine, nothing dramatic, more like a quiet sharpening of awareness, as if the morning fog lifts just slightly faster than usual. Now, I want to pause it and remind you of something important. This is one morning, one single experience. It is easy to either dismiss it because it didn't feel life-changing, or get overly excited because it felt unusual. Neither reaction tells you the full story yet. The real story, the part that becomes genuinely interesting, starts to unfold over the next few days. What people commonly report between day 2 and day 3 is where things start to shift in a noticeably different direction. So let us talk about what tends to happen next, because this is where digestion starts to enter the conversation in a more meaningful way. By the second morning, the intensity often feels a little less surprising. You know what is coming now. The flavor is still strong, but your body has had a chance to adjust slightly. This is typically when people start paying closer attention to how their stomach feels throughout the day, particularly after meals. Some individuals report a subtle sense of digestive comfort, less bloating after lunch, a feeling that meals are sitting a little easier than usual. Now, I want to be careful, because this varies enormously from person to person. There isn't strong clinical evidence proving that clove chewing directly reduces bloating in a guaranteed way for everyone. What we do know is that the natural compounds in cloves have been studied for potential effects on digestive comfort. In traditional medicine systems, many cultures have used cloves for centuries specifically for this purpose. It is a simple way to think about the possible mechanism, without overcomplicating things. Digestion relies partly on enzymes and partly on motility, meaning how smoothly food moves through your digestive tract. Some of the natural compounds found in cloves have been examined in preliminary research for their potential role in supporting healthy digestive function. This doesn't mean cloves are a treatment for digestive disorders. It simply means there is a plausible biological reason why some people notice a difference. There is another thing people commonly mention around day 2 or 3, morning energy that feels a little steadier. Not a spike, not a crash, just a smoother, more even feely throughout the morning hours. Again, I want to stay grounded. Energy levels are influenced by so many factors: sleep quality, hydration, stress, blood sugar, that it would be misleading to suggest cloves alone are irresponsible. But many people who maintain this habit consistently report this pattern. It is worth paying attention to your own experience rather than taking anyone else's word for it. By this point, you might be wondering whether things continue to build, or whether day 3 is roughly where the experience plateaus. That is exactly what we are going to explore next, because days 4 through 7 tend to be where people report the most noticeable shifts. This is the part of the week where things tend to get interesting. Here I want you to listen closely, because I'm going to be careful with my language. Not because there see anything to hide, but because I respect you too much to exaggerate. By day 4 or 5, many people report that their gums and mouth feel different. Not dramatically, but noticeably. Some describe a sense of improved oral comfort. This may relate to the traditional use of clove oil in dental care, where eugenol has been studied for its properties related to oral tissue. Again, this is not a substitute for proper dental hygiene or professional dental care. It is simply an observation that some people report. On the inflammation side, this is where I want to slow down and be especially precise. Inflammation is a natural, necessary process in the body, but chronic, low-grade inflammation has been linked in research to a wide range of age-related concerns. Cloves contain antioxidant compounds that have been studied in laboratory settings for their potential role in addressing oxidative stress, which is related to, but not identical to, inflammation. I am not telling you that chewing 2 cloves a day reduces inflammation in any clinically proven, guaranteed sense for the human body in everyday use. What I am telling you is that the compounds involved have legitimate scientific interest behind them, and that this is part of why this habit has persisted across generations, long before modern science even had the tools to study it. By day 6 or 7, many people describe an overall sense of well-being that is hard to pinto one single case, steadier digestion, fresher breath, a small sense of accomplishment from sticking with a daily habit. Sometimes it is the cumulative effect of several small things working together, rather than one dramatic change. It is an important truth I want to share with you honestly. Some people reach day 70 feel like nothing significant happened at all. That doesn't necessarily mean the habit doesn't matter. Often, it means something else entirely, something related to how the habit was being practiced in the first place. So let us talk about that, because this next part might be the most important chapter in this entire video. Before we get into that, if you are finding this helpful so far, take a moment to drop a quick comment letting me know which chapter resonated with you most. If you haven't already, a quick like helps this video reach more people who could benefit from hearing this. Now, let us talk about why some people simply don't notice anything at all. It is something we learned after years of studying simple wellness habits. Most disappointment doesn't come from the habit failing. It comes from the habit being done incorrectly, often in small ways people don't even realize. Let me walk you through 5 common mistakes, one at a time, because I want you to really sit with each of these and ask yourself honestly whether you might be making one of them. The first mistake involves timing, and it is more important than most people assume. Many people chew their cloves at random times throughout the day, sometimes right after a big meal, sometimes late at night. But remember what we talked about earlier regarding saliva and early digestion. Chewing cloves on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning, allows the body to interact with the compounds differently than chewing them after a large meal already sitting in your stomach. The second mistake is rushing through the chewing itself. Some people pop a clove in their mouth, chew once or twice, and swallow it like a pill. But remember, the entire point is releasing those compounds through saliva and oral contact. Swallowing too quickly defeats much of the purpose entirely. The third mistake is inconsistency. Trying something for 2 days, skipping 3, then trying again the following week doesn't give your body a fair chance to respond. Many traditional health habits, this one included, rely on consistency over time rather than occasional use. The fourth mistake involves quantity, and this one surprises people. Some assume that if 2 cloves are good, then 5 or 6 must be even better. This isn't accurate, and it isn't safe. Cloves are potent. More isn't better at it is simply more. The fifth mistake, and this is the one I see most often, is expecting a dramatic, obvious transformation rather than a subtle, cumulative shift. We've been conditioned by advertising to expect instant, dramatic results. But the body, especially as we get older, tends to respond more gradually to gentle, consistent habits than to anything sudden or extreme. Now that you know what tends to go wrong, let us talk about exactly how to do this the right way, step by step, so you can approach this habit with clarity and confidence instead of guesswork. Let us keep this simple, because simplicity is the entire point of this habit in the first place. Step 1. Choose whole, dried cloves, ideally from a trusted spice source. Avoid clove oil or concentrated extracts for this particular habit, since whole cloves allow for a gentler, More gradual release of compounds through chewing. Step 2. Practice this first thing in the morning, before breakfast, ideally on an empty stomach. This timing matters because of everything we discussed earlier regarding saliva and early digestive interaction. Step 3. Take it to whole cloves, no more than that. Place them in your mouth and chew slowly and deliberately. You are not trying to swallow them immediately. Allow the flavor to release gradually, taking perhaps 30 to 60 seconds of gentle chewing before swallowing. Step 4. Drink a small glass of water afterward. This helps clear any lingering intensity and supports the early digestive process we talked about earlier. Step 5, and this is the one I want you to remember most. Commit to this daily, ideally for at least 7 consecutive days before forming any opinion about whether each is right for you. Consistency matters far more than intensity. 2 cloves, done correctly every single morning, will likely teach you more about your own body than 10 cloves done once and then abandoned. This routine takes less than 2 minutes total, yet each requires the kind of quiet patience that is becoming rare in our fast-paced world. That patience, ideally, is part of the gift this habit offers. Now, before we close out today, there is something responsible I need to walk you through, because not everyone should approach this habit the same way. I take your safety seriously, I'd rather be thorough than leave anything unsaid. If you are currently taking blood-thinning medication, it is important to speak with your doctor before adding cloves to your daily routine. Some compounds in cloves have been studied for mild effects related to blood clotting. This could potentially interact with certain medications. If you have a known allergy to cloves or related spices, this habit clearly isn't appropriate for you. You should avoid it entirely. If you have a sensitive stomach, acid reflux, or a history of stomach ulcers, cloves can sometimes feel tasty or irritating. It would be wise to discuss this with your physician before trying it. If you are pregnant or nursing, please consult your doctor first, as with any dietary change during the time. In generally speaking, if you are managing any chronic health condition or taking regular medication, it is always a smart, responsible step to mention any new habit, even something as simple as a kitchen spice, to your doctor or pharmacist. This isn't about doubting the habit. It is about respecting your unique health situation, because what is gentle for one person may not be appropriate for another. Your doctor isn't an obstacle. They are your partner in making informed, personalized decisions, and that partnership matters more than any single habit ever could. I want to leave you with something to think about, beyond the cloves themselves. So much of what shapes our long-term health isn't found in dramatic transformations or expensive interventions. It is found in small, quiet, repeated choices, the kind we make so often that we stop noticing them entirely. Chewing 2 cloves each morning isn't going to change your life overnight. They never tell you that, because it wouldn't be true, and you deserve honesty more than excitement. But there is something meaningful in choosing, deliberately, to start your day with a small act of intention. A moment that asks you to slow down just slightly, before the world speeds back up around you. Maybe that is really what this habit represents. Not a miracle, not a cure. Just a gentle reminder that some of the oldest wisdom in the world is true has something worth listening to. Even now, even after everything modern science has taught us. If this video gave you something to think about today, I'd genuinely love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know if you plan to try this, or if you've grown up with cloves in your own kitchen traditions. If you found this helpful, a quick like goes a long way helping this reach more people who might benefit from each tour. There is another video right on your screen right now that I think you'll find just as interesting. Go ahead and give it a watch. I'll see you there.